Nocturnal recaps here. Today, I'm going to tell you about a 2023 comedy titled No Hard Feelings. I did this video in an experimental format, so please watch it to the end and let me know what you think of it. And as always, beware of spoilers and enjoy the video. USA, Montauk. The movie begins with a tow truck driver named Gary who goes to the house of his ex-girlfriend named Maddie to pick up her car. At this moment, Maddie runs out, and Gary tells her that her car is being repossessed for non-payment of taxes on the house. Maddie tries to talk Gary down, explaining that without her car, she won't be able to work at Uber, and her current income from her job as a bartender clearly won't be enough to pay the debt. But Gary remains steadfast. When Maddie runs out of arguments, she brings out the big guns and tries to flirt with Gary, but the plan is ruined by Maddie's new boyfriend. The angry man leaves, and Maddie has no choice but to go to work on rollerblades. When she arrives, she tells her pregnant friend Sarah and her husband Jim about her problem, and they, after a brief internet search, offer her one option. One couple offers their old Buick Regal in exchange for someone to be their son's girlfriend for the summer. And after some thought, Maddie decides to keep her home at all costs, so she responds to the offer. The next day, Maddie goes to their house for a job interview, and once inside, the couple explains the situation. Their son, named Percy, is a typical wallflower who has no experience in social interactions, especially with girls. He is soon to leave for Princeton College, and his parents fear that he'll have an incredibly difficult time there, so they've decided to hire a girl to help him socialize and become a man. Maddie accepts the job, and lastly, they say that Percy must not find out about their deal because it will destroy his self-esteem. After borrowing Jim's free candy van, Maddie goes to the animal shelter where Percy is volunteering.
Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog.
In an attempt to strike up a conversation with Percy, she pretends to want to adopt a dog, and Percy shows her a former police dog who is hooked on something he should have been fighting. Maddie agrees, and they head to the office to do the paperwork. Inside, Maddie flirts with the guy in every way possible, but he, like a true turbo virgin, doesn't give in to these attempts. Percy becomes insanely embarrassed and tries to leave the animal shelter, citing its closure, but Maddie doesn't loosen her grip and offers to give him a ride home. Once outside, Percy heads to his bike, but Maddie puts it in the van and invites the guy in. Inside, the girl continues to flirt awkwardly and makes an unsuccessful joke about Percy being her hostage. The interior of the van and the fact that Maddie is off the route to his house make the guy panic badly. When they arrive at the Meddy's house, she decides that she has Percy in the bag, but at that moment, the frightened guy releases a very different kind of substance on her face than she had hoped for. Maddie screams in pain and asks why he would do that to her, as she just liked him and wanted to start a relationship with him. Perplexed, Percy apologizes and helps her rinse her eyes, after which they agree to go on a date. The next day, Percy arrives at the bar in a young Angus outfit, where Maddie is already waiting for him. He wants to order a Pepsi, but Maddie changes his order, saying he needs to learn to drink before college, and a few minutes later, he gets a donkey piss called Long Island. God, if Long Island was the first alcohol I ever tasted, I'd never drink again in my life. A little while later, Maddie takes Percy to the ocean for a little swim. The guy refuses at first, but when Maddie suggests going skinny dipping, Percy's hormones start pouring out of his ears, and he follows her into the sea. While they are swimming, they are spotted by a group of drunken tourists who steal their clothes, but Maddie gets out of the water to teach them a lesson.
And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Back to Percy, she tells him what an awesome suplex she did. But Percy, like a true soy boy, gives a speech about the unacceptability of violence. This angers Maddie, and she goes to the car grabbing their clothes. Percy follows her in his birthday suit and asks for his stuff back, but she refuses. Left with no other choice, Percy jumps on the hood of the car, and Maddie gives him the most unforgettable ride of his life. As they drive through the city, their car catches the attention of the cops, who start chasing them, but Maddie manages to escape by driving past an approaching train. The couple arrives at the girl's house and Maddie starts dancing for the guy, asking him to smack her. When it comes time for the main event of the evening, the guy complains of itching, and upon lifting up his shirt, Maddie discovers he has a severe rash caused by nervousness. While Maddie rubs lotion on his back, Percy tells her that he is very unsociable and has never had any friends. In response, Maddie shares her story about how she never left her hometown because she had to take care of her sick mother. Her father didn't live with them because he had another family, and Maddie was born as a result of an affair. Over the next few days, Maddie and Percy spend a lot of time together, and they begin to show some sympathy for each other. When Percy shows off the prizes he won at the arcade, they have a dialogue in which they learn that neither of them has been to the prom. Maddie reveals that she once wrote a letter to her father trying to find out why he left them, and right on prom day, it came back unopened. At that moment of intimacy, Percy finally gathers courage and kisses Maddie. A little later, Percy arrives to pick up Maddie in a limo so they can have their own prom. At dinner, Maddie asks the guy to play something on the piano, knowing Percy's passion for music. He refuses, but after she threatens to make a toast to the entire restaurant about what an amazing lover he is, Percy reluctantly goes to the instrument.
Guess who's back?
After a successful performance, everyone in the restaurant claps for the guy, and soon a girl named Natalie comes to their table. Upon learning that Percy is also applying to Princeton, the girl invites him to a party for prospective students tonight. Natalie leaves, and Percy tries to start a conversation about long-distance relationships when he goes to college, but Maddie says that their relationship is just a fling for her, which will soon end. Offended, Percy heads back to the car where he begins to get drunk for the first time in his life. Soon, Maddie notices a limo pulling up to an unfamiliar house, and Percy says he's headed to a party. After some hesitation, the girl follows him into the house where she starts looking for Percy, and after finding out that the guy is upstairs with Natalie, Maddie heads to their room.
Here's Johnny.
Maddie catches Percy and Natalie half naked in bed, but Natalie swears that nothing happened between them, because Percy took some pill. Maddie immediately leads the guy to throw up, and at that moment, Percy justifies his super virgin status by admitting that the pill was ibuprofen. A few minutes later, the homeowners show up and trying to kick Maddie out of the house, but ethanol Bruce Lee stands up for her, accidentally delivering his 2-inch punch right down Maddie's throat. The couple leave the party and get into their limo, where Percy confesses his love to Maddie, but the girl says that he shouldn't throw around such statements while drunk. The next day, waking up in high spirits, Percy tells his parents that he has found a girl, so he has decided to postpone college for now. The parents immediately call Maddie, who informs them that she wants to cancel the deal because Percy has gotten too attached to her. They agree and say she'll still get the car, but she needs to convince Percy to go to Princeton. At this point, Percy accidentally turns on their phone conversation from the car and learns that Maddie is with him only for the money. This breaks the guy's heart, and a little while later, Percy decides to make them confess, so he invites Maddie to his house. Percy drops various hints that he knows the truth, but Maddie and his parents pretend until the end. Suddenly, Percy's phone rings, and he steps out of the house to execute his revenge. Percy, along with the guy from the animal shelter, crashes the old Buick meant for Maddie, after which the guy goes back to his room. Soon, Maddie follows him, and Percy tries once again to get the truth out of her, but the girl keeps lying, and to distract Percy from this conversation, offers him snoo-snoo. After a few triumphant seconds of thigh rub, Percy finally says he knows the truth and accuses Maddie of using him for money. In response, Maddie says that a guy born with a silver spoon in his mouth could never understand what ordinary people are willing to do to keep their homes, whereupon she leaves the house. Sometime later, Gary brings the Buick to Maddie's house, and the girl starts working hard at Uber to save up money to pay the tax, which she soon succeeds in. Deciding to celebrate this event, she goes to the bar with Sarah and Jim, who give her some unpleasant news. They have decided to move to Florida because they can't afford to buy a house in Montauk. Maddie is shocked by this news, at which point Sarah tells her that she finally needs to let go of her past and live the way she wants. Maddie seriously reflects on her life and decides to follow her heart. She burns the letter she tried to send to her father, repairs the car, apologizes to Gary, and puts the house up for sale. But to close the loop, Maddie still has one unfinished business. Finding out that Percy is currently at a Princeton mixer, she heads there to apologize to him, but he doesn't want to listen. Percy completely ignores her and tries to drive away, but Maddie climbs onto the hood. Remembering that night on the beach, Percy gives her a hot ride, ending with a crash into the water. Percy runs out of the car to help Maddie, and she tearfully apologizes to him, whereupon he forgives her. After some time, Maddie decides to sell her house to Sarah and Jim at a very low price so they can raise their child in Montauk. In turn, Percy says goodbye to his parents and leaves the house, where Maddie is already waiting for him outside. She offers to drive him to Princeton on her way to California, and they get into the car so each can start a new life.